Meeting of February 8th for the Planning Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Wester.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Roll call, please.
Greenberg,
Here.
Hicks,
Here.
Mako,
Here.
Shapaka,
Here.
Soriano,
Here.
Tamarkin, Wester.
Here.
Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? We have no additions. Approval for the meeting minutes. They have been set out. Is there any additional corrections to those?
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the meeting minutes from January 25th.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Wester.
We have a motion made by Mr. Hicks and seconded by Mr. Wester. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hicks,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
Mako,
Yes.
Shapaka,
Yes.
Soriano,
Yes.
Tamarkin, Greenberg.
Yes.
Motion passes. We now enter the portion where we swear in the applications, or applicants and speakers. Mr. Ross, City Attorney, can you swear in the masses?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are now at the public hearing portion of the meeting. The public hearing will operate as follows. Administrative staff will make a presentation or comment on the application. The applicant or their representative may then make a presentation or comment on the application. Public comment will then be open for 3 minutes allowed per speaker. Additional time may be requested. Permission is at the discretion of the chair. Speakers must complete a speaker slip and come to the podium and state their name. The applicant will then be given 10 minutes to comment. Additional time may be requested. Permission is at the discretion of the chair. If there is more than one application pending for a particular address, the presentation on each application may be consolidated and presented as one. At this time, will persons wishing to present testimony this evening please rise and raise your right hand to be sworn in? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, state I do. I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. We now enter the application portion of the agenda. We have one item. I will read it into the minutes. It is DR 0002-2023 to consider a design review application for property located at 259 Granville Street, parcel ID 025-007-431, current zoning CC, Mighty Lion Express Wash. Richard Reed Dietz, applicant. Mr. Blackford, make a presentation.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chair. On your screen right now, location and zoning map. As you stated, community commercial is the zoning. The property is located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Granville Street and Lincoln Circle. It is currently the home of the Mighty Lion Car Wash, and it was a car wash before that. So we saw a design review application back in June of 2022. We also saw a variance application. Both those applications were approved. The design review application was conditioned that the pay stations be painted blue as well as the vacuums. Site's been open here a couple of months. Code enforcement, city staff, we noticed that the requirement to paint was not done. We notified the applicant, and they have elected to come back before Planning Commission with an application. So they would like to keep the blue color. We saw those pictures in the application materials on your screen right now. This is the site plan. They provided this. This was really submitted back in June, so this is what Planning Commission was evaluating back then, and it shows up a little bit better in your application package than it does up on here, but this is a blue color, and again, it just doesn't really show really well on the screen, but the applicant did provide a couple of photographs here of what it looks like. These are taken, on the property. We were able to just grab a couple of pictures in case you were curious of what it looks like, maybe more from the right-of-way, the road. This is looking south, so this is if you're at Granville Street, just across the street there where like Coaches and O'Toole's is located. Then there's also the view from Lincoln Circle, so this is that small shopping plaza just right across the street here of Lincoln Circle. So give you a little bit of idea of what those pay stations and vacuums kind of look like with the blue. The staff report didn't have a whole bunch in it. What I try to do is include a little bit more code language to give you a little bit maybe more clarity as to what the role of the Planning Commission is, and I'm not sure why these things are showing up blurry on your screen tonight. It looks really nice on my screen. But again, some of that design review criteria that we're evaluating that might be germane to a request like this is, are those improvements stylistically compatible with existing structures? Does it contribute to the improvement of the design, to the design of the district? Does it maintain, protect, and enhance the physical surroundings? And then these last two, again, are a little bit more unique, maybe applicable to this request we normally don't talk about, but it says Planning Commission can evaluate the overall impact of a project on surrounding properties to determine the effect of the project. Certainly appearance plays a role in that. And Planning Commission shall endeavor to assure that exterior appearance of a project enhances the attractiveness and desirability of the district. With that, Mr. Chair, again, just wanted to kind of reset the groundwork of why we're here tonight, and really it's now over to you and the applicant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Blackford. Would the applicant like to make a comment? Please step up to the mic, state your name and address.
Yes, Richard Reed Dietz, and the property, you want the property address or my
Your
personal?
home address.
1911 Surrey Road, Blacklick, Ohio, 43004. So, good evening, everybody. I live in Blacklick, graduated from Gahanna. Joey, who's on the end, lives in Blacklick, graduated from Gahanna. Dave, my brother-in-law, whose dad used to own the car wash, who runs the car wash, went to Gahanna, lives in New Albany. So, local feel, so that was the color scheme. But early on, when we submitted the initial application with the drawings, and there was a meeting, a design review, unfortunately, I never had trace of like when the meeting was going on. We were calling in, we found out that an email was sent. I've never seen the email. I don't know what happened, but they said, hey, but you've been approved, and you can go online to get all the details, but you're approved on your design review. And there's some conditions, one being that the vacuum pay stations be complementary to the building color. And we're like, great, awesome, because the color schemes for the Mighty Lion is the Gahanna, you know, high school colors, the blue and the gold. So I didn't think anything of it. I didn't look and see until later on when we got notice that there was a violation, and I started reading into the details of that evening where people specifically pointed out the pay stations and the vacuum stands are blue. So my apologies for having you guys meet here again and talk about the same issue. But for us, the colors were to blend in with the school colors. We want to be part of the community. We live in the community. My kid goes to Gahanna. You know, that was what we wanted in our sign, our main sign, which you can't see in here, but the big sign that says Mighty Lion, it's blue and gold. So that was the theme we were sticking with, and I just wanted to emphasize that we weren't trying to go against the initial ruling and try to sneak something by everybody. That would be the last thing I'd want to do. So we like the color. Our customers really like the color. We think that it goes well with the community and the building, and doesn't, you know, cause a big contrast to the neighboring businesses. And yeah, so.
Very good. Thank you, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other, of the public here to make a comment or make a statement? Did we have anybody call in or? No?
None.
Hearing none, we will close the open portion and now open it up to the commission for comments. Is there any comments from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Hicks.
So questions to the applicant. Is it your position that the color of the pay stations are consistent or complementary to the building? I heard you said it's consistent with the school colors, but is it your position that they're consistent or complementary with the building?
And when I originally read that, I'm thinking building, sign, our overall theme, and it does blend with the sign that was approved on a different permit. So I feel that they're complementary to the building. That was like the gray area too when I was reading it. When I got the violation, I'm like, well, what's complementary? Like, who says this is right or this is wrong? And all would have been avoided had I been here at the first meeting. But yeah, I do feel that they are complementary to the building, the blue and the white and the black.
And I did have another question, if you don't mind. The pay station there, are they inserts that can be replaced? Is it a paint? Is it like?
It's like a wrap around, yeah. So not easily correctable. So those terminals are not inexpensive, and they come from a third party, and they build them off-site and then bring them to the property.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Any other comments from the commission? Yes, Mr. Greenberg.
Just a question on the pay machine. Is it all credit card?
Cash and credit card.
Okay. Has there ever been any issues with cash payments in the machines? People trying to get to the money?
No, but from what we were explained to from the people that came and installed it, is there's an alarm on those things. So if somebody does try to open those and you don't put a code in within, I don't know, well, he can't talk, but within so many seconds, it's like ear-piercingly loud.
Okay.
They said that they're probably more secure than the ATM, but not a lot of money in there. They get empty daily, and we keep like a till in there of $400.
Thank you, Mr. Greenberg. Yes, Mr. Bako?
Any negative comments from any of the other businesses around you regarding the color scheme?
No.
And you said that your clientele also feels that it's a good color scheme?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sariano?
Yeah, thanks for coming back and thanks for kind of supporting, being in Gahanna, supporting, absolutely think that that's, valid and, really appreciate. I think the building looks really good. My professional opinion is I think, and I don't think it's complementary to the building. It's blue. I would say complementary color to the building probably is on a gray scale. The building's black and white, which I think is very handsome. Which tends to make those hoses stand out, and maybe that's the purpose. I think in this district, or at least on our main thoroughfare, I'd like to see something a little bit more subdued, probably a black or a dark gray. My personal opinion, whether or not I feel strongly enough about that to have you all repaint it, I don't know. But I do think that the blue is while it is Gahanna, yellow, golden blue, I think it's great. My kids go to Gahanna too. But I do think something at a building scale, we might be able to find those colors in Gahanna, but I don't think where this is and what's next to it, and even associative to the building that they support, I think it's inconsistent. But that's my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Sariano. No other questions? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to consider design review application DR 00022023.
A second?
Second, Hicks.
Mr. Hicks. I have a motion from Mr. Greenberg and seconded by Mr. Hick. Any discussion on the motion before we vote? Hearing none, roll call.
Greenberg,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Mako,
Yes.
Shapaka,
Yes.
Suriano,
No.
Tamarkin, Wester.
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Thanks for the investment.
Thank you, guys. Yep.
Thank you.
You can leave at any time, yes. So that ends our applications. Any unfinished business that were noted? Hearing none. Any new business? Having none, moving on to official reports. Mr. Roth, anything from the city attorney?
No, sir.
Mr. Blackford, Director of Planning, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Really quickly, looks like on our next meeting, I think Sheets is scheduled for, which I think is February 22nd. And it's not the conditional use, that's already been decided, so it's the final development plan, design review, and variance applications, which we all heard that discussion previously. I'll try to keep it kind of brief and all that, but that'll be coming back. We also had the variance where the applicant was out of town and didn't get notified, the shed variance out there on, is it Havens Corners, it will be coming, and we might have another item or two, so a little bit healthier agenda for the second meeting in February. And one other thing I'd like to just kind of throw out here to Planning Commission, that you all might be seeing an application or applications here in the near future for the Rogers Market, which is the site where Donato's and maybe High Bank and that is located. As we know, there's some parking challenges there. It's actually a really good problem, especially for that shopping center to have. There's been a lot of conversations between the city, the tenant, and the landlords there. Like we were just talking about a little bit beforehand, that involves maybe a little bit of unused right-of-way, which is in a lot of folks' jurisdiction in that, and that's a lot of different hands. So anyways, long story, you might see an application to have some more parking. There might be a long-term solution application and a short-term solution application and that. 'Cause this is an issue like we're trying to get ahead of, so springtime and summer gets resolved a little bit. So you might need to bear with us a little bit because there might be a little bit of unresolved things that really shouldn't affect the final product, but just maybe a little bit less clarity than we have normally with the Planning Commission application. Nothing's been filed, but I do expect stuff to be filed here in the next few days. So that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Is that worthy of a workshop at all, or kind of a preliminary review?
It certainly could be, and I know that all those folks are very anxious to make sure things move along. So certainly that could be something that we see. Why it gets complicated is, again, there's a short-term solution and a long-term solution. Certainly the long-term solution is what we're focusing on now, but that involves the vacation of right-of-way. And the right-of-way is in city, then there's the county, and then there's a township and maybe another city involved. It just gets really complicated. So with complications, it might be good for us to have a workshop and just kind of spell some things out. Because usually we do them now, we can have it at the end of agenda or before, not a big deal, but we certainly want to do that if it could help move it along here. So you might see something in a couple of months. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Blackford. Anything from council liaison?
Yes, I would just share a couple things really quickly. Council had a meeting on Monday, a couple things that might be of interest to Planning Commission is one, good news for Mr. Hicks and myself, the CIC contract with the city was signed. So there will be a CIC participating with the city the next couple of years. And there was also a liquor permit that was on the agenda, and that was at the location of the former Hart State Brewing off of Morrison Road, and I think Crafted Culture was there. I believe Hart State Brewing is just going back to brewing and getting out of the bar space, so it looks like there might be a new tenant in there soon. So that's all. Couple of
Thank you,
items.
Mr. Blackford.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Comment from the chair? I'll wait for the poll members' comment. I have no other official business. Correspondence and actions? None? Mr. Hicks, any comments?
No comments.
Mr. Wester?
No comments.
Mr. Mako?
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to say thank you to the other Planning Commission members who showed up to the BZBA meeting a couple weeks ago. It's been years since I've been to a appeals board hearing, and it was very enlightening. thank goodness that we do have a process in this country to hear these appeals. Don't really want to comment about how it came out, but again, just want to thank you to the other members who came and showed support and interest in that hearing a couple weeks ago.
Thank you, Ms. Pecco. Mr. Soriano?
No comments.
Mr. Greenberg?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to congratulate you on 2 very expedited meetings since you've taken over.
Thank you. I had a death in the family a couple weeks ago. My oldest brother passed away, and he's actually 13 years older than I am. So I really didn't grow up with him, but he moved to Kentucky and adopted a family of 8 children, him and his wife. Went from 0 to 8. We have no reason to understand the family and the dynamics of that. So basically, getting him into the ground was an effort. We had to carry him the length of a football field on a hillside in Kentucky. And we had pallbearers in reserve. And I made it about halfway through, and then I had to use 2 hands, just because you're walking on the slope in dress shoes. It was pretty difficult, but my other brother, who's 11 and a half years older than me, was in front. And he created levity throughout the whole thing because he was cussing about his brother about weighing over 300 pounds and the weight of the casket. And one more final gesture, brothers hated each other and fought, which was hilarious. It got us through, and after that was over with, we came down off the hill, and my wife, who was 4 cars behind us, was just crying beyond belief. And she waved me over to console her, and I guess that's what I was thinking. And she was with my children, my grown adult children. My oldest son is married. And having experienced the funeral, coming off the hill, turning around, seeing my wife crying was unsettling, to say the least. So as she was coming to me, she had a card in her hand, and I signed all the cards. And I'm like thinking, well, I guess we're going to have a card to give to my sister-in-law. Well, I open up the card, and it says, Mom. My wife's birthday happened to be the next day, and I'm like, well, why am I signing this? I mean, this is for her. Well, there was a piece of paper there, and she flipped it over, and it was an ultrasound of my oldest son, who is three months pregnant. So I am going to be a grandfather here in late June. Congratulations. It was a big surprise. And it was such a big surprise that my son's wife just got accepted for a free ride at OSU for law school. So I wasn't thinking we were going to have any kind of grandkids for a while. So it was a really good chess move because I wasn't thinking that was going to happen at all. And when we were at church, we were sitting up front, and he came in and he said, I'm going to sit in the back. And my relationship with my oldest son can be a little contentious, and I said, are you going to pick right now to get in an argument over this? And he looked at me like he's never looked at me before. He said, I'm sitting in the back. And I'm like, well, you're going to pay for this later. Well, it turns out she was having morning sickness or something, so they wanted to stay in the back in case they had to go. So I immediately forgave him for doing that. That's how we're very, very excited about hopefully everything, 10 fingers and 10 toes, coming at the end of July.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Outside of that, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Adjourned.